Hello developers, welcome to my video series on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 add-on workflow. Today we're going to make a 2024 fully modular aircraft. Yes, today we are going full make reference to the 2024 SDK and the aircraft creation checklist. So in the SDK for 2024, you'll find in the samples the aircraft creation checklist. It's basically a huge long list of references to other parts of the SDK. They're all in one place for easy reference. You can follow them in order if you like, or if you have your own workflow, you can use them as required. I'm using Blender 4.2 LTS and also the latest Asobo exporter 5.4.7. It's still not compatible with Blender 4.5 yet, but we'll see. I'll be using my Socata 2020 project and the blend file here. And the first big task is to make it look like the DA62 blend file. And the DA62 has more information in it. There's a lot of root nodes, there's a lot of collections and so forth. So they have a bunch of empties set up and other parts that are also set up. So you can see here there's an awful lot of collections used in the presets and the collections over here. So it would be a good idea for you to review both DA62 samples. One is for the airframe, the outside exterior, and the other one is for the internal interior part of the cockpit. Here we have the airframe is the interior, and we'll open up the cockpit. I won't save anything. So we'll open up the cockpit or interior version of the DA62. And this is what we have here, and a similar type thing where we have a lot of presets. Again, we have a lot of collections that are in the all set up here. The Socata, we're going to do something similar to that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine both the interior and the exterior into one file. Our Socata is not really super complex at this stage. Perhaps in the future we'll separate them out. Maybe it's a Blender performance issue. Right now it's not going to be one for us. It just makes it easier to match the interior and exterior parts that we need to split up. And I'm going to use this approach because we have the SDK and the DA62 sample, and we can reference things back to the Socata. So I've already started that and done a few versions of what we're going to do. So you can see now that I've already set up a number of different presets and groups, and I've made the Socata look similar to what the DA62 has. I think it's great that Asobo made the blend file of this medium complex aircraft, the DA62. It's their attempt to take a 3DS model and convert it to Blender. Most of the documentation is related to 3ds Max, and I'll point out the 3DS terms where I can and try to use the Blender term. One of the first ones is 3DS talks about layers. In Blender, they're collections. So when they talk about layers in 3DS, we're going to talk about all the different collections that they have. Also an empty or a helper file in 3DS, which is the green cubes that you see in some of the reference things that they have. Like in the doors, they talk about helpers. There's a helper file or a helper node for us. That's basically just empties. I'm using Axis type empties. You can use whatever you're used to. Now I've started updating the Cicada for myself, so I'm going through as much as I can, changing what we had before in our 2020 aircraft to make it a full Monty 2024 modular aircraft. In my research, when I was trying to understand all this, I brought in a test plane that I usually use and started working on that with similar things, the way I've set things up. So I've got a root or helper in 3DS to speak, but in Blender we're using empties. So each area has an empty. The engine will have an empty, fueling, the fuselage will have one, the center gear, or the nose gear in this case, left and right gear. The tail even has an empty, and each wing also has an empty. So basically, I've made everything similar to the DA62. And then I use this file and open up the Cicada that we had before, which had the exterior LODs and an interior LODs. I had 4 LODs in my example before. So I took all of these that were just in 1, 2, 3, 4 different collections, and I appended all the information into my test file, and then I made it and deleted all my test file data. And so I ended up with roots for the attach points and everything. So the nose gear and the fuselage, the gear, the tail area, and the wings. So I basically just brought all that in, rearranged everything, added a whole pile of additional collections, and we'll get into those as we go along. So up to this point, it started. This version is not yet complete. It won't show in the sim correctly yet. We can't export any of this. As you see, I still have the cockpit in the older version. It's not fully modular yet. And what we also have to do now is we have to work with the existing config files. We have to change the XML files so that they use the new asobo underscore ex1 XMLs, or you won't get the new features that are in the 2024 sim, like interactions with the aircraft from the exterior. You can only do that with the new templates that they have. Right now, The exterior is pretty well easy. They use very similar terms and animation names, etc. And so making the exterior modular is going to be a little bit easier than the cockpit. The cockpit has a lot of animations that have to change. So first we'll add all the needed collections, and I have them here expanded all out. So starting at the scene collection, there's a main root collections that we have here. Collision. I have utilities because I grabbed that from the interior. It's mostly interior stuff. I have a collection here that we're not going to export, and these will have template characters. So when we have all our passengers and the pilot and the co-pilot set up, we're going to use template characters to set up the seat belts. That's a long way off, but right now we're going to have these collections, and I would suggest that you add them to your aircraft. The collision collection, when you're out, you'll be working with information or collisions outside of the aircraft where you'll have to collide with the parts. You can't go through them, you'll have to go around them. So the engine, the center gear, the left gear, right gear, fuselage, tail, wings left, wing right. From there, we'll have a shared one, and this will be the root node type of required parts. I'm doing this similar to the DA62 so that we can reference back and forth. In the shared main collection, we have the attach point collection that will have the root of the attach point or the empty, and then all of these attach points for all the sim attachments. A fully modular aircraft, everything in the aircraft will be a attachment. So the fuselage will be an attachment, the wings will be attachments, the tail will be separate attachments, the engine will be an attachment, all the three gears will be an attachment, and anything else that your aircraft uses will be an attachment. So we have that. We have the skeleton for the engine. Again, just some of the root stuff and other empties that are associated. So the root for the parts are going to be in the same position that the attachment. So the root for the engine, if you see here, and the root or the attach point for the engine will be exactly the same. This is how the attachments get linked. So all of the attachments, the attachment for fueling will be in the same area for that. Oh, I must have missed that one. It's not quite the same. Yep, different. So some things to fix. Gear center, let's see. The gear center. Nope, haven't got that set up yet either. So we'll have to make those exactly the same. All of these references here in the shared, and then now the LODs. The LODs, I've only got one set up right now. For now, we're going to have 7 LODs, maybe 5, it depends if we use this. So X0 is LOD 0, X1 is LOD 1, X2, LOD 2, etc. In each one of those, we'll have the LOD for the cockpit, for the doors, for the fuselage, for the engine, for the 3 gears, for the tail, the wings, fueling, etc. They will contain all of the regular mesh nodes for all the parts. So the fuselage, the engine will have the propellers. So everything will be set up in these different collections. Back to the DA62, and a little more detail on what we're doing here. You saw what I had done in the Cicada. It's nowhere near the same as what they have in the DA62. So the DA62, I've got the collisions. I've got all of the different collisions here, which contain the meshes for those collisions. If we view a few, no, nothing right there yet. The fuselage. Yeah, you can see it kind of turns blue. So they have an invisible collision mesh around the fuselage. You won't be able to walk through the fuselage. Some of these collections will have sub-collections, so this collection, sub-collection, and then more sub-collections for other. The gear has a sub-collection, another sub-collection. It's lots of different collections. What I haven't got in the Cicada yet is the livery collections, so there's a lot of livery information, and a livery information has to be set up, or livery data has to be set up for each of the different LODs. I've got two views here for the view layer. What I've done, one shows the collections, and this one here shows everything except the collections. This way you don't get a view, you just get a view by everything that's in the aircraft. So all of the pieces that are not really attached directly to a root node or as a parent shows up like this. There are the root attachments, and then anything that is attached to it will be shown here. So there's a lot to do in the Cicada, but I won't get to that until later. So we have all the shared information, the engine, the gear, etc. The DA62 has two engines, so they got a left and a right. More information than we need in the Cicada. There's this one critical and very special collection I want to point out is the attach point. And remember what I said, that everything is in the same in the same position. So the root engine here and the attach point is the same. The root and the attach point for the right engine you can see is the same. So we have to do that in the Cicada. Okay, the task for you or your homework would be to make the Cicada aircraft look like the DA62. So add in all of the collections that you see here so you can stop a few things. I've got collections for all the collisions. I've got the collections for the attach points, the engine, the gear, X0. I haven't done anything for LODs 1 to 6 yet, but I have collections, sub-collections for LOD 0 for the cockpit, doors, fuselage, engine, etc. Make all those roots the same as the attach point. So the attach point for the engine, see if I've done it, it's the same. Attach point for the center gear is the same. The attach point for the other gear is the same. So basically, make sure that the position of the attach point is the same as the root, the main root of whatever section or part, and that's a thing we'll talk about later, of each of the aircraft. I use the same terminology, skele for skeleton, root for root, empty attach point, collisions. I made it look like the DA62. So you can make that, or the Socata now, look exactly the same. You may notice that the one attach point that we don't have is the fuselage. The fuselage itself has a root, but there is no attach point. But note where the root of the fuselage is. It's right at 000. So the fuselage will be the very first part that is attached to the modular sim object, and then everything else will be attached to the fuselage sim object. It gets a lot more complicated now, but I think there are some good and some bad features to this, but I think it's mostly good. If you haven't paused the episode here at this point and updated your own aircraft, I suggest you do so before you go on. But if you don't want to, just follow through, but make sure that you update your aircraft to the latest version that I have here at least. The collisions that we have, the shared parts, the attach points, the roots for everything. Basically, everything will have a root, and then the root will contain all of the things that are associated with it. We're not ready yet to export. We have a bunch of config files to make, plus we have to move things around so that we have a modular aircraft. The 2024 conversion that we did from 2020 so that we got it to work basically has all of the things in the common folder. So the model for the Socata, interior, exterior, everything is in the common folder. What we have to do now with the modular aircraft is make it similar. So the modular aircraft has a few more folders. It has a navigation graph folder, localization, checklist. We could have had a checklist, I guess, before. But the big difference is the model folder here has the Socata, while the model folder in the common now has a helper GLTF. Well, where is everything else? Well, there is a new folder, attachments, that we have to add. We don't have the attachment folder with anything in it other than the sim attachment template that we had before when we created the project. With the new one, what we'll have is we'll have a whole pile of folders that contain the parts of the aircraft. And this is what we have to do, and we'll do that in the next episode. Well, there you have it, going full Monty in 2024. And we've started our journey into the 2024 fully modular aircraft. Our next episode will be moving things around and be well on our way in the process of making that 2024 aircraft project. And this episode, we did some basic Blender file changes, and next time we'll be doing config file and GLTF file changes, but we still won't be able to export it. Lots to do. Good luck and see you next time.